Russia's getting yet more help from North Korea in its ongoing invasion of Ukraine. According to Ukrainian intelligence, Pyongyang is sending up to 30,000 more troops to bolster Russian forces along the front lines. North Korea initially sent some 11,000 troops to Russian territory last year. Officials say thousands of those North Korean fighters were either killed or wounded. Nick Payton-Walsh has the story.
They brought near suicidal, ruthless tactics, the rumblings of a war going global. 11,000 North Korean troops helped Russia expel Kiev's soldiers from its border of Kursk. But that, it seems, is just the start. CNN has learned up to 30,000 more may be headed to the front lines, according to Ukrainian intelligence, for use in a summer offensive. With Moscow hungry for manpower and Pyongyang keen to school its troops in brutal trench and drone warfare. They were first seen here in October, but recently the routes used then could be active again. A troop-carrying Raputa ship was seen here on May the 18th, the same type of vessel at the same Russian port used in transports last year, experts said. Ukraine also assesses Russia will refit transport planes like the ones seen on the tarmac here again in June at North Korea's Sunan airport to move so many North Koreans. Likely air or rail will take them across Siberia to the front line. 10 kilometres east of Kursk, this camp has enlarged in recent months. Further evidence of North Korean build-up. CNN has geolocated to here this 6-minute video report from a part Korean-Russian correspondent. The report surfaced 48 hours after the Kremlin's first admission of the North Korean deployment.
Ну, такой нормальный блиндаж. Очень тепло, да?
They're not only training, but appear to have new long-term bunker accommodation and equipment. The tastes of home, red Korean pepper, and homemade propaganda. It says, revenge for our fallen comrades. This Russian instructor says his new trainees are aged 23 to 27.
Парни приезжают, физически подготовленные, из них бойцы не хуже, чем наши. Враг сам бежит первым, а враг бежит, потому что боятся стрелкового боя.
And there's a translation sheet to get over the language barrier, which meant the first units operated separately from the Russians. State media has shown videos of both countries now training together. Here, in the same training ground, a Russian shows how to use a shotgun to take down a drone. Others practicing clearing buildings together. More signs are open. Putin's top presidential advisor, Sergei Shoigu, visiting Kim Jong-un here for the second time in a fortnight, announcing 1,000 mine clearers and 5,000 military construction workers to rebuild Kursk region. Perhaps a sign Moscow is indeed short of the manpower it has sent mercilessly into the fight, but also that it is not short on allies who share their ruthless commitment. Nick Payton-Walsh, CNN, London.
Joining me now is Volodymyr Omelyan, Ukraine's former infrastructure minister. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you, Jim, for inviting me, and it's a great honor for me to be with you.
Given your job as infrastructure minister, you, of course, have great knowledge of the enormous damage to Ukraine from Russian missile and drone strikes throughout the course of this war. What does it mean to Ukraine and its defense for the U.S. to suspend crucial air defense munitions?
Definitely, we were very much frustrated from today's news from Washington, regardless the attempt of State Department to correct them and to say that, look, it's not about the total postponement, but it's a kind of only one element of all supplies. It sounded very bad for us, and those news were welcomed by Kremlin to the greatest extent. They are happy and closing to such decision of Pentagon. I do hope that President of the United States will do everything possible to correct the situation, because exactly what Russia waits from the West, that West is in chaos, West is not organized, West is weak, and Russia will be allowed to occupy Europe together with China.
This is the second time the U.S. has suspended arms assistance to Ukraine. Of course, you had the suspension of intelligence sharing a number of weeks ago. It has applied no new pressure on Russia. President Trump has threatened sanctions, never delivered new sanctions on Russia. In your view, is President Trump favoring Russia over Ukraine? Is it being harder on Ukraine than Russia?
I don't want to be negative in this situation because I still believe that Trump is the president of the United States, the leader of the world. And he cannot favor Putin, massacre and murder, and Kremlin, which is the only goal is to conquer the West and to put their own not democratic rules and to rule the Europe. I still hope that there is some kind of game behind, as well as it was done by George Bush during the collapse of Soviet Union, when he was cherishing and hugging Gorbachev and asking Ukrainians to keep Soviet Union alive, while watching that it's close to collapse. So maybe it's a wishful thinking, but I would like to think in this direction. And if truth is different, that Trump still believes that his best friend is Putin, leader of Northern Korea and China, we are all in big trouble.
Can Europe come to Ukraine's aid now and at least temporarily make up for the loss of U.S. weapons?
Paraphrasing the NATO Secretary General, I would like to state the same, that we all aware that daddy left home and we need some time to get mature, and it all depends how much time do we get to be ready for self-defense. Right now, Europe is very much concerned about Russian threat. They finally realize that it's real. Not inside of their capitals, and Germany is not fighting back physically Russian invasion yet, but it may happen very soon. At least in Great Britain, they are very much concerned and put all efforts to strengthen their army, to provide support to Ukraine to extent needed, because London definitely realizes that it's much better to stop Russia in Ukraine than do it once again in Dunkirk.
That discussion, the idea that Russia might attack Europe or NATO next, I hear it a lot in Europe, particularly Eastern Europe, certainly from Ukraine. In America still, it is seen as an exaggeration or a distant threat. I'm giving you an opportunity here to speak to Americans. How seriously should they take the threat from Russia to Europe and beyond?
By 2014, before first Russian invasion, I would say that if you ask average Ukrainian, he will always reply to you that, look, we are confident Russia is friend of us, not an enemy of us. Reality changed radically. Unfortunately, we overslept the invasion of Russia into Georgia in 2008. We thought it was kind of misunderstanding or something different. Many politicians in the West would like to take situation in Ukraine. It's also a big misunderstanding. And it's a great wish of Russia that we occupy Ukraine, put back business as usual, then concentrate our forces and strike West. Definitely, United States are far away and divided by the ocean. But in nowadays world, you cannot feel secure even if ocean lies between you and the enemy. There are too many attempts of hybrid war to strike your state from the inside. So my pure dream and sincere dream that we keep our strategic relationship with the United States, that Washington takes the situation seriously. And we did with Russia what recently was done to Iran. we can spend years for talks or for fights, or we can end the story of Red Army with 2 weeks of combat jets hitting Red Army lines and supplies.